Shut your doors, silence your phones. Tell anyone in the room with you right now to be completely quiet. Turn up your volume, lean in, close your screen, and look at me very carefully. What I'm about to tell you over the next few minutes is not the evening news. It is not being talked about by your favorite politicians. It is being intentionally buried beneath a mountain of celebrity gossip, stock market updates, and political theater. But while the rest of the world is being completely distracted by cheap entertainment, a silent, terrifying countdown has just been activated. Welcome to AK Kashyap Unfiltered. This is not just news, this is a global power move. Right now, as we speak, a secret is unfolding across three different continents. It is a secret that involves hidden deep underground war rooms, emergency satellites communications, and closed door panic that has gripped the highest level of global intelligence. Empires are quietly moving their pieces across the global chessboard. Superpowers are secretly signing emergency executive orders, and yet, the common man, the average citizen walking the street of Mumbai, New York, London, or Tokyo, is completely blissfully blind to the massive storm that is about to crash through their front doors. I want you to think about something very carefully. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, turning your phone on, and realizing that every single rule of your daily life has completely changed overnight. Imagine discovering that your freedom of movement is gone. Your financial savings are frozen in place, and the global supply chains that bring food, fuel, and technology to your doorstep have been instantly cut off. You would ask yourself, how did this happen so fast? Why did nobody warn us? Friends, the truth is the warning signs are flashing right now, but the mainstream media is paid to keep you calm. They are paid to keep you asleep. They want you to believe that everything is under control, that the global economy is stable and the modern world is completely safe. But you and I both know that is a lie. On this channel, we do not do sugar coated fairy tales. We do not read from teleprompter scripts approved by corporate billionaires. We look behind a heavy velvet curtain of global politics. We follow the blood, we follow the money, and we follow the raw, unfiltered truth. Stay with me very closely because every single sentence I speak from this moment on is a critical piece of puzzle that affects your pocket, your survival, and the future of your family. 24 hours ago, an encrypted file landed on my desk from a source deep within an international regulatory body. I cannot tell you their name, I cannot tell you their exact location. If I did, their life and career would be over by tonight. But what can I tell you is that the contents of this document sent a chill down my spine. The document describes an event that took place in lawless, highly volatile territory thousands of miles away from where you are sitting now. In a region torn apart by shadows, underground exploitations, and constant conflicts, an invisible trigger was pulled. It didn't happen with the sound of missile explosion. It didn't happen with the declaration of war. It happened quietly. It happened in the absolute dark. For weeks, local authorities in that distant region tried to bury the evidence. They tried to threaten the doctors. They tried to silence the workers, and they tried to pretend that nothing was wrong because they knew that the moment the truth leaked out, their economy would completely collapse. They knew that foreign empires would immediately descend upon their land and seize control under the guise of an emergency. But you cannot hide a wildfire with a piece of paper. The situation grew so big, so uncomfortable, and that it broke through their lines of defense. It spills across the international borders. It enters It entered a major urban metropolis with an international aviation hub. And yesterday, in a closed door emergency session in Geneva, Switzerland, the top elites of global health and security gathered around a massive digital map flashing with deep red warning lights. They realized that their worst nightmare had officially come true. They realized that the weapon, the biological monster they thought they had locked away, the threat they claimed they had a cure for, had mutated, it had evolved, it had changed its shape. And worst of all, the multi-billionaire dollar global stockpile of defenses that the United States, Europe, and China have been building for the last 10 years is now completely useless. Think about the sheer weight of that statement. The global superpowers have absolutely zero armor against what is coming. They have no shield, they have no magic pill, they are standing completely exposed, and because they are terrified, they are preparing to pull the emergency brake on the global civilization. Before I take you one step deeper into this dark corridor, before I travel the exact coordinates of this global ground zero, I need to look into the eyes of the people watching this live stream right now. Look at the live chat, it is exploding. Hundreds of people are joining every single second. People are asking, AK, what is the topic? Is it a new war? Is it an economic crash? Is it a cyber attack? Tell us. Be patient. The reveal is coming, and it will shake you to your core. But first, you need to understand who you are. You are not just random viewers scrolling through social media to pass the time. If you have clicked on this video, it means your mind rejects the mainstream lies. It means you have the courage to face reality, no matter how terrifying it is. On this channel, I don't call my subscribers fans or viewers. From this day forward, if you stand with me in the pursuit of uncompromised reality, you are a truth warrior. A truth warrior does not hide from facts. A truth warrior does not let their friends and family walk blindly into an ambush. Right now, the mainstream algorithm are trying to suppress this live stream. They do not want this broadcast to reach the masses. They want this information to remain buried. So I'm calling upon every single truth warrior in the chat right now. If you believe that the people deserve to know what is actually happening behind the closed doors, hit that subscribe button immediately. Follow AK Kashyap Unfiltered right now. And most importantly, take the link of this live stream and share it everywhere. Share it in your family, WhatsApp groups, post it on your Twitter, send it to your friends, put it on your Telegram channels, blast it across the internet. Let the establishment know that the truth warriors are awake, they are united, they will not be silenced. Smash that share button right now, because what I'm about to reveal next is the ultimate turning point of this entire broadcast. Now, let's look at how the chessboard is being set up. Why is this mystery event causing absolute chaos in the boardrooms of Washington, Beijing, and New Delhi? Imagine a massive triangle of power. At the first point of triangle, you have the United States and its Western allies for decades. They have controlled the global narrative through financial system, international organizations, and technological dominance, but their power is fading. Their economies are fragile, and their public trust is completely broken. At the second point of triangle, you have China. China has spent last 15 years quietly buying up the world. They have poured trillions of dollars into deep African mines, strategic ports in Asia, and massive infrastructure networks across South America. They have placed their own engineers, managers, and intelligence assets deep inside the most resource rich zone of the planet. They are waiting for the perfect moment to completely replace the West as the ultimate global empire. And the third point of the triangle, you have emerging giants like India. navigating the dangerous water of this Cold War, trying to protect their own populations, their own economic growth, and their own strategic borders. Now imagine an event takes place that threatens to completely shatter this triangle. Imagine a threat so severe that it strikes directly at the throat of the global technology supply chain. I'm talking about the exact geographic zones where the raw minerals for your smartphones, your laptops, your electronic cars, and your advanced military drones are extracted from the earth. If that zone goes dark, global technology stops manufacturing. If that zone is locked down, the price of microchips exploded. If that zone is isolated, the economic balance of power instantly shifts to whoever can control the cure to this crisis. This is where the plot thickens. The global superpowers are not looking at this emergency as human tragedy. They do not care about the lives being lost in those distant villages. They look at this through the cold, calculated lens of vaccine diplomacy and resource control. They are they are asking themselves, how can we use this chaos to deploy our military contractors into those resource rich lands under the flag of humanitarian aid? How can our pharmaceutical corporations lock down a global monopoly patent that will force every country on earth to bow down to us for survival? This is a shadow war disguised as a crisis. It is an asymmetric battlefield where the weapons are invisible and the soldiers wear protective plastic suits, and the prize is the total dominance of the global economy. Stay with me, this part is incredibly important. Most people look at the emergency and think it's just a random stroke of bad luck. They don't see the hidden hands moving the pieces. They don't see how a localized outbreak in a forgotten corner of the world can be weaponized to trigger a global currency reset or a massive authoritarian expansion. Let's bring this closer to home. Let's talk about how this affects you, your pocket, your job, and your daily life. Whenever a global emergency is declared, the first thing that dies is trust. International borders begin to lighten, airlines begin to cancel routes, shipping containers are held at ports for weeks of inspection. When global shipping slows down, the cost of transport rises. When the cost of transport rises, the price of oil, gas, and daily groceries shoots through the roof. Inflation explodes. Your hard earned money loses its purchasing power. You go to grocery store and suddenly your budget is blown out of the water. You go to buy a vehicle and you are told there is a 6-month delay because microchip factories in East Asia cannot get the raw materials from Africa. This is the domino effect. A single spark in a remote, conflict ridden jungle creates a wave that travels across the ocean, passes through international airports, and lands straight on your dining table. It affects your job security, your business, and your children's future. But the mainstream media, the mainstream media will never explain it to you this way. They will give you boring scientific names. They will give you sterile graphs with upward trending lines. They will read out statements from bureaucrats sitting in air conditioner office who tell you to wash your hands and stay calm. They treat you like children. They think you cannot handle the raw truth. They think that if they tell you the actual scale of the failure, that the global medical system are completely overwhelmed, that the elite research labs have no answer, and the rebel militias are currently hunting down international aid workers in the jungle, the world will panic. But I know the audience of this channel. I know you are not looking for a pacifier. You are looking for an armor piercing shell of truth. You want to see the world exactly as it is so that you can prepare, so that you can protect your loved ones, and so that you can stay 10 steps ahead of the crowd. We are now standing at the precipice of the biggest deep dive this channel has ever attempted. For the next some time, we are going to completely tear down this global conspiracy piece by piece. We are going to name the specific country in Central Asia, in Central Africa, beg pardon, if we are going to name the specific country in Central Africa where this horror crawled out of the jungle, we are going to name the specific province that is currently being torn apart by armed rebel groups who are burning down isolation camps. We are going to look at the exact capital, city whose international airports has become a ticking biological time bomb for the entire planet. We will analyze the exact scientific classifications of this rare mutated strain, a strain discovered decades ago near a winding river, which has now returned with a mortality rate so high that it kills up to 9 out of every 10 people it infects. We are going to expose how the World Health Organization used its, its highest possible legal framework to sound the alarm and what that means for international flight bans, military mobilization, and impending economic freeze. And finally, we will look at the direct impact on India. We will answer the ultimate question: should you be terrified? What is the Indian government planning behind the closed doors at the airport of Mumbai and Delhi to prevent these monsters from landing on our soil? This is the complete roadmap of today's broadcast. It is dark, it is heavy, but it is absolutely essential knowledge for anyone who wants to survive the year 2026 with their eyes wide open. Listen to me very carefully, guys. All my truth warriors out there, the storm is officially here. The world is changing at a blinding speed, and the sheep are still sleeping. But you are awake. You have stayed through this entire introduction because you can smell the danger and you want the unadulterated facts. We are about to transition into the main deep dive. The virtual map is ready. The classified data is open. The names, the coordinates, and the power plays are about to be laid bare on this screen. If you have not done it yet, this is your absolute last chance to join the ranks. Hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on the notifications so you never get dropped by the algorithm. And right now, pick up that share button. Send this live stream link to every single group chat you belong to. Tell them to drop whatever they are doing and join this stream immediately. Tell them that AK Kashyap Unfiltered is live and we are about to expose the biggest hidden global crisis of 2026. Do not let your friends walk blindly into the dark. Bring them into the light. Share this stream right now. Call in every single truth warrior across the nation, across the world, across the globe, and let's blow the lid off this global power move. Are you ready, friends? Type ready in the comment section right now. Let the war for truth begin. Welcome to AK Kashyap Unfiltered. This is not just news. This is a global power move. Friends, adjustable your screens, silence your phones and look at me right now. What I am about to tell you today is going to change the way you look at the world politics, global health, and the balance of power. Yesterday, the World Health Organization, the WHO, officially pressed a big red panic button. They have just declared a global health emergency. Why? Because the deadly Ebola virus is back and it is breaking out at a speed we have never seen before. Now, most people will read this on the news and think, oh, this is just another virus in a faraway continent. It does not affect me. But you are watching AK Kashyap Unfiltered. On this channel, we look behind the curtain. I am telling you today, this outbreak in the heart of Africa is about to trigger a massive geopolitical storm that will touch the United States of America, that will touch China, that will touch Europe, and yes, even your own pocket right here in India. Let me use the inverted pyramids to give you the most dangerous fact first. Right now, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, a country in Central Africa, a very rare and terrifying strain of the Ebola virus has exploded. It has crossed the border into Uganda. It has hit the major urban cities. It has reaches a capital city with an international airport. This means the virus is no longer trapped in remote jungle villages. It is now connected to the global flight network. If someone boards a flight from that airport today, this virus can land in New York, in London, in Dubai, in Mumbai, or in Delhi by tomorrow morning. Stay with me, this part is important. Historically, Ebola is one of the most brutal killers known to humanity. In past outbreaks like 2014, it killed more than 11,000 people, but what is happening right now in 2026 is 10 times more dangerous. Why? Because the scientists have just realized that the current strain spreading right now has absolutely no vaccine. Every single medicine and vaccine sitting in the storehouse of global superpowers right now is completely useless against it. The most people don't know this, but we are standing at the absolute edge of the global crisis. If this thing spreads out of control, it will not just cause a medical emergency, it will crash supply chains, close down international borders, destabilize the resource rich African continent, and spark a direct shadow war between the US and China over who controls the cure. Friends, I want you to stay till the very end of this coming in the final part of our breakdown. I'm going to explore a hidden layer about the specific conflict zones where this virus is spreading and how international rebel groups are using these shows to block global health workers. Get ready. This is raw, this is real, and this is completely unfiltered. Take the step back and understand the history. This didn't start today. It goes back to the deep, dense jungle of Central Africa. To understand the danger of today, we must look the ghost of 1976. In 1976, near a small winding river called the Ebola River in the Congo, scientists discovered a monster. They found a virus that does not act like normal flu. Let me break down the science simply without any complex medical jargon. Ebola is what scientists call a zoonotic disease. What does that mean in plain English? It means it lives inside wild animals, specifically fruits, bats, and wild monkeys deep in the rainforest. For hundreds of years, the virus stayed inside the jungle animal kingdom. But when humans cut down the forest and hunt wild animals for meat or for illegal underground mines, deep in the jungle, they come into direct contact with these infected animals. The virus jumps from the animal into the human body, and once it enters the human being, it turns into an absolute nightmare. Ebola is what we call a viral hemorrhagic fever inside the body. It behaves like an invading army. It does not just attack your lungs like the Wuhan, China coronavirus did. It attacks your entire defense mechanism. It destroys your immune cells, tears open your blood vessels, and shut down your liver and kidneys. In the early stages, a person just feels a normal fever, a slight headache, and tiredness. You would think, oh, it's just a seasonal cold. You take a paracetamol and go to work. You board a train. You hug your family. But then, within days, an advanced symptoms strike. Severe vomiting, uncontrollable diarrhea. Your gums start bleeding. You start vomiting blood. Your internal organs experience massive failure and your body enters a state of deep shock. Here is where things change, and this is why the world is terrified. Ebola has a mortality rate of up to 50 to 90%. Think about that mathematically. If 10 people gets infected with this specific strain, 5 of 9 could die. Compare to that, compare that to COVID-19, which had a mortality rates of less than 3%. This is not a virus that makes you cough. This is a virus that literally shuts your body down from the inside out. Now let's use our virtual map technique to see exactly where this nightmare is unfolding. Picture Africa in your mind. Right in the dead center of the continent, there is a massive giant country covered with a thick green rainforest and cut through by mighty Congo River. This is a Democratic Republic of Congo. Now look closely at the eastern edge of this country. There is a region called Ituri province. This province is surrounded by rugged mountains in north, thick jungles, and it shares a direct open land border with its neighbor to east, Uganda. This specific region, Eastern Congo, is the ground zero of the 2026 outbreak. But why is it spreading so fast here? Because Eastern Congo is one of the most unstable, lawless, and volatile places on the entire planet. For decades, this region has been torn apart by civil wars, violent local militias, and illegal gold and diamond minings. When a virus breaks out in a normal country, the government sent doctors, set up testing labs, and isolated the patients. But in eastern Congo, there are no proper roads, there are no modern hospitals, there are no isolation tents. Instead, there are millions of poor, displaced refugees running away from the level violence. Thousands of migrants laborers travel back and forth across the border every single day to work in hidden jungle mines. They contract the virus, they don't know they have it, and they keep moving. And now, the worst case scenario has officially happened. The virus has jumped across the eastern border from Congo Strait into Uganda, and it has not stopped in the villages. It has traveled all the way to Kampala, the massive, crowded capital of the city of the Uganda. Think about the difference. A jungle village is isolated, but Kampala is a booming urban metropolis filled with millions of people living close together. And most importantly, Kampala has an international airport with direct flights leaving every single hour to Europe, to the Middle East, and to the Asia. The WHO data currently shows around 8 laboratory confirmed cases, 250 suspected cases, and over 80 dead. But let me whisper an unfiltered truth to you. The WHO openly admits these numbers are a complete lie. In the remote regions of Africa, people die in small villages without ever seeing a doctor. Their deaths are never recorded in official papers. People hide from health workers because they fear being locked up in isolation centers. The real numbers of infected people out there right now could be hundreds or even thousands, higher than what is being reported. Stay with me, this part is very important. We are no longer talking about a local African crisis. The moment a deadly jungle virus enters a major international aviation hub, it becomes a ticking time bomb for entire human race. Let me break this down simply. Why is the 2026 Ebola outbreak causing absolute panic in the boardrooms of global superpowers while the previous outbreak did not? This is where things get interesting. Ebola is not just one single virus, it has different variants, just like we saw the Delta and Omicron variants of Wuhan, China coronavirus or COVID. The most common and famous variant is called the Zaire Ebola virus. Over the last 10 years, global pharmaceutical companies spent billions of dollars developing a vaccine for it called Ervebo. The world thought we have the vaccine, we are safe. But nature just played a deadly trick on humanity. The strain that has exploded right now in eastern Congo is not the Zaire strain. It is highly dangerous, extremely rare variant called Bundibugyo strain. This strain were first seen in 2007 and it has certainly re-emerged with a vengeance. And here it is the unfiltered truth that the mainstream media is trying to soften. The existing vaccines has absolutely zero effect on the Bundibugyo strain. All those millions of vaccine doses stored in Western medical facilities completely useless. The emergency vaccination plans completely ruined. If this virus hits a major global city tomorrow, doctors will have no magic injection to protect the public. They will have to rely on raw, primitive quarantine tactics. Now let's look at this through the lens of geopolitics. Who benefits and who loses from this global health emergency? Follow the money and follow the power. First, let's look at the losers. The biggest loser here is the continent of Africa. Especially Central and East Africa, for the last few years, countries like Uganda and Congo have been trying desperately to attract foreign investment, building infrastructure, and grow their economies. This outbreak will completely freeze international travel to the region. Tourism will crash, trade will stop. But more importantly, look at the global economy. Eastern Congo is not just a random jungle, it is the throat of the global technology supply chain. It holds the world's largest deposits of cobalt, coltan, and copper, the essential raw minerals used to make smartphone batteries, electric vehicles, and advanced military microchips. If this virus spread into major mining zones, the mines will have to shut down. The laborers will flee into the forest. If Congo minerals export stops, the global tech industry will freeze. The price of your next smartphone, your next laptop, and electric cars will skyrocket globally. It will hit your pocket directly. Now let's look at the shadow players, the United States and China. Over the last 15 years, China has executed a massive geopolitical strategy that called the Belt and Road Initiative. China has poured hundreds of billion dollars into Africa, buying up mines, building railways, and locking down resource supply chains. Thousands of Chinese engineers and managers are currently living and working inside these exact resource zone in the Congo and the Uganda. If Ebola infects these zones, China's massive economic investment faces a direct threat. China cannot afford to let its supply chain collapse. On the other side, the United States and the West view Africa as a major battleground to counter Chinese influence. Watch how the chessboard moves now. The moment the WHO declares a global health emergency, it triggers massive international funding and allows foreign powers to deploy medical mobilization teams. But let be completely unfiltered. Under the cover of sending doctors, protective suits, and medical aids, global superpowers deploy their own intelligence assets, logistic networks, and military contractors deep into these strategic territories. Whoever controls the medical response controls the territory. Whoever funds the local hospitals gains the loyalty of the local government. Control is the name of the game, friends. Here is another layer that most people completely miss, the race of the patent and the cure. Right now, scientists in US, Europe, and China are running a secret, high stakes race to develop the first working vaccine for this rare Bundibugyo strain. The country that creates the vaccine first will hold the ultimate geopolitical leverage. Imagine if China creates the vaccine first, they can tell African leaders, European nations, and Asian countries, we will give you the life saving vaccine, but in return, you must give your companies exclusive access to your ports and your mineral mines. This is what we call vaccine diplomacy. And it is one of the most powerful weapons in modern warfare. This is why a health emergency is never just about health. It is an arena where global empire meets for dominance while common people fight for their lives. Now, I want to take you deep inside the story. Let's leave the reports behind. Just look at inside the war rooms. Imagine you are sitting in a dimly lit, highly secure war room in Geneva, Switzerland, inside the headquarters of the World Health Organization. It is late at night. On the massive digital screens on the wall, there is a map of Central Africa flashing with red dots. Each red dot represents a human life that has been snuffed out by invisible monster. At the long table, top scientists, military logisticians, and international diplomats are arguing. A scientist slams his hand on the table and he says, we ran the test on the Kampala cases. It is confirmed. It is Pundi Bugyo. The stockpile of Ervebo vaccines is useless. We are looking at the phantom virus with no armor to protect us. An advisor to a Western president looked up from his secure phone. He realizes that if they don't act now, a single infected traveler boarding a flight from Entebbe International Airport in Uganda can bring this virus straight to Western capitals within 14 hours. The room goes dead silent. The gravity of the situation sinks in. They have no choice. They must declare the highest level of alert, a public health emergency of international concern. Now let's shift our lenses. Fly across the oceans, over the mountains, and land straight in the capital city of Kinshasa, or into the presidential palace of Uganda. If I was the leader of one of these African nations, what would I do? What is going through their minds right now? Put yourself in their shoes. You are leading a country that is already fighting poverty, inflation, and internal rebel wars. You know that if you declare a complete lockdown, close your borders, and stop international flights, your economy will completely die. Your people will starve before the virus even reaches them. But if you keep the borders open to save the economy, the virus will multiply in shadows of your cities. If it spreads globally from your capital, the entire world will completely isolate your nation. You are caught between a rock and hard place. It is a brutal, impossible choice. And to make things even more dramatic, think about what is happening on the ground in the eastern conflict zones. Let's zoom into the deep forest of the Ituri province. Imagine the convoy of white SUVs with the logos of International Health Organization driving down a muddy jungle track. Inside the vehicle are brave doctors and nurses wearing thick, suffocating plastic PPE suits. They are carrying testing kits and isolation equipments. Suddenly, out of the dense green jungle, bushes armed rebels emerge. These are local militia groups who do not trust the central government and completely despise foreign interventions. They point their weapons at the convoy. They believe a conspiracy theory that foreign doctors are bringing the virus to kill them or to steal their gold. They order the doctors to turn around. They burn down the local medical tents. This is the terrifying reality of practicing medicine in a conflict zone. The doctors are not just fighting a deadly biological pathogen under a microscope, they are dodging real bullets from AK 47s in the mud. The virus loves this chaos. Every time a medical team is blocked by rebel violence, the virus gains another 3 days to multiply to infect another village, and to move closer to the global transport network. Here's where things change. The battle against Ebola is not being fought in clean, sterile laboratories with bright white lights. It is being fought in the dark, rainy trenches of geopolitical conflict zones where health workers are treated like soldiers and medical emergency becomes an asymmetric war. Friends, I have been talking for more than 40 minutes, breaking down the raw history, the deep science, and the hidden power play of this 2026 outbreak. Now I want to bring this straight to you. AK Kashyap Unfiltered is not one way news broadcast. This is a community of deep thinkers. Look at the live chat right now. I see hundreds of you active. I want you to ask a direct question and I want everyone to type their answers in the chat box immediately. Friends, is it the biological danger of virus itself spreading globally or is it the economic damage? The closure of borders, the shutdown of tech mineral mines, and the collapse of supply chains that will destroy jobs and spike inflations worldwide. Type 1 in the chat if you think the health pandemics is the biggest danger, and type 2 in the chat if you think the economic collapse and the tech minerals crisis is the real threat we should worry about. Let me see your responses. I can understand that some of you thinks about two. Some of you thinks about both. You guys are on spot. Most people are blind to the economic side of the health crisis. They forget how a shutdown in one corner of the planet can cause a factory to close down in another corner of the world, destroying livelihoods thousands of miles away. Now let's talk about the state policy. Let's do a poll style question right here in the chat. Imagine you are the decision maker in the Prime Minister's office in New Delhi or the White House in Washington. You know that flights are landing from East Africa every single day. What should your government do right now? Option Option A. Immediately place a complete travel ban on flights coming from Uganda and neighboring African nations to totally lock down the border. Or option B. Keep the borders open to protect global trade but set up extreme mandatory military grade screening and isolation facilities at every single international airport. Friends, what is your choice? Type option A or option B in the chat right now. Let's see who has the mind of true geopolitical strategist. Interesting, chat is completely split. Some of you says A, block everything. Some of you says B, because the complete ban will destroy international relations and spark a diplomatic crisis with Africa. This is exactly why geopolitics is so fascinating, guys. There are no easy answers. Every single choice has a massive cost. If you lock down, you will kill livelihoods. If you stay open, you risk the lives. I want everyone watching this stream right now, whether you are watching live or watching the recorded replay later, to drop a detailed comment below with your strategy. If you were leading your country, how would you handle a global emergency where the existing vaccines don't work? I read every single comment on this channel and I want to see your unfiltered intelligence down there. Now, let's bring this entire deep dive together for a final unfiltered verdict. The 2026 Ebola outbreak is not a story about a distant medical issue. It is a glaring spotlight exposing the terrifying fragility of our hyper connected modern world. We live in an era where an economic supply chain connects a remote jungle mine in eastern Congo directly to the smartphones in your hands. We live in a world where an airborne network connects a crowded market in Kampala to the financial towers of London, Mumbai, and New York. When the WHO declares a global health emergency over a rare strain like Bundibugyo, they are warning us that the old playbook is dead. The fact that we have zero vaccines for this specific strain means the The human race is currently standing completely naked against a highly contagious predator. But my bold opinion on this entire situation is that the greatest danger we face is not the biological virus itself, it is the geopolitical division between our world leaders. Instead of uniting as one single human race to isolate the outbreak, providing funding, and build a cure, global superpowers are already treating this tragedy as an opportunity to play their shadow games. China is worried about its mining investments. West is calculating how to deploy its influence under the flag of medical aid. Big pharma companies are calculating their future profits margins on a new vaccine patent. If our global leaders continue to view a deadly health emergency as a geopolitical chess match to outmaneuver their rivals, then the virus will win. It will slip through the cracks of their political arguments. It will board international flights and it will turn a localized emergency into a global catastrophe. The government of India and the governments worldwide must activate their high level surveillance system immediately. We cannot afford to be reactive. We cannot wait for the first case to land on our soil before we start preparing. The screening at international hubs must be absolute, non negotiable, and airtight. This is the real, raw truth of the world affairs. The mainstream media will give you a sterile statistics and soft sanitized report. They want you to stay calm. They want you to stay calm and look away, but here on this channel we look straight into the eyes of the storm. We don't do sugar coated news reading. We do deep, uncompromised storytelling. We expose the raw power dynamics that shape human history. If you want to understand the true forces that drive global events, if you want to know how secret decisions in hidden war rooms affect your life, your economy, and your family's future, you are in the right place. Make sure your notifications are turned on to not miss what is coming next. Follow AK Kashyap Unfiltered for real, unfiltered geopolitics. Friends, we have just traveled through a 47 minutes journey into the absolute heart of darkness. We have laid bare the raw, unvarnished, and unfiltered reality of what is unfolding on your planet right now in 2026. What you have witnessed during this broadcast is not just a medical report or a random breakdown of global news. This has been a total exposure of a global chess match, a high stakes, asymmetric biological war where the borders of nations are the front lines and your daily life is the ultimate collateral damage. Let us stand back for a moment and look at the terrifying picture we have painted together today. Let us summarize exactly what is happening while the rest of the world remains fast asleep. We started this journey deep in the lawless, war torn trenches of eastern Congo in the volatile Ituri province. We exposed how a silent biological monster, not a virus that makes you cough, but a brutal, terrifying force that attacks your entire system from the inside out, has crawled out of the jungle depth. We identified it scientifically. This is not the standard Ebola strain that the world prepared for. This is the rare, elusive, and deadly Bundibugyo strain, and we revealed the absolute core of the panic gripped the World Health Organization today. There is no vaccine. Every single $1 billion stockpile sitting in the warehouse of the United States, Europe, and Asia is completely useless against this specific mutation. The armor of the global superpowers has been totally shattered. Then we watched the dominoes fall on our virtual map. We tracked how this virus didn't stay contained in remote jungle villages. It used the chaos of civil unrest, illegal mining networks, and displaced refugee populations to split past border guards. It crossed the eastern borders directly into Uganda, and then it pulled off the ultimate nightmare scenario. It pulled off the ultimate nightmare scenario. It entered Kampala, a crowded, highly populated capital city. The moment it reaches Kampala, it hooked itself directly into an international aviation hub. As we speak right now, flights are taking off from that region, carrying passengers who might be harboring this silent killer without showing a single symptom. It is a ticking biological clock connected directly to London, Dubai, New York, and the crowded transit longest of Mumbai and Delhi. But as a truth warrior, we did not stop at the medical data. We looked behind the curtain of the global superpowers. We exposed how China is sweating over its trillion-dollar infrastructure investments and resource pipelines in Central Africa. The very throat of the global technology supply chain that controls the cobalt, coltan, and copper needed for every single smartphone, microchip, and electrical vehicles on this planet. If those mining sectors freeze, your pocket hits an economic wall. Price will skyrocket, inflation will explode, and supply chains will lock down. We exposed how the United States and the West are seizing up this emergency, calculating how to use humanitarian medical mobilization as a perfect cover to deploy intelligence assets, logistic experts, and military contractors deep into strategic African territories to counter Chinese dominance. We cracked open the dark reality of vaccine diplomacy. We are the first nation to invent a patent for the Bundi cure will hold the ultimate geopolitical leverage, forcing the rest of the world to bow down and trade their sovereign assets just to secure a life saving injection. And finally, we look at the reality on the ground. We visualized those brave doctors marching into jungle tracks only to face the barrels of AK 47s held by local rebel militias who burned down isolation tents because they believe the crisis is a foreign plot to steal their gold. This is the summary of the storm we are dealing with. It is an intricate web of biological danger, corporate greed, military maneuvering, and economic fragility. The mainstream media wants you to look at a simple headline and turn off your brain. They want you to think it's a localized problem, but tonight you have seen the truth. You know that a spark in African jungle can burn down a financial market in Asia or Europe within weeks. Before I deliver my final, uncompromising verdict on WhatsApp, next I need to pause and talk directly to backbone of this channel. Look at the live chat right now. The numbers haven't dropped. The thousands of you are still slugged to your screens processing this massive weight of information. You see the establishment hates broadcasts like this. The corporate's algorithm do everything in their power to suppress, flag and shadow ban channel that expose the raw mechanics of global power moves. They do not want people thinking critically. They want population of sheep that just absorb official press releases without asking questions. But they forget one critical variable. They forget about you. They forget about the truth warriors. To every single person who has hit that subscribe button tonight, to everyone who has stood by this stream from the first minute to the last, you are officially a truth warrior. You are the frontline defense against the global misinformation. You are the digital army that refuses to let the light of reality go out. But our battle does not end when I turn off this camera. In fact, that is exactly when your mission begins. Right now, if you have not done it yet, make sure you are fully subscribed to AK Kashyap Unfiltered. Ensure your notification bell is smashed to all so the algorithm cannot hide our next deep dive from you. And right now, before we close, I want every single truth warrior to take action. Copy the link of this completed live stream and flood the internet with it. Paste it in your local community groups. Send it to your colleges who thinks everything in the world is completely fine. Blast it across your social media feeds. When you share the stream, you are not just sharing a video, you are waking up and sleeping mind. You are arming another citizen with the shield of raw knowledge. Do it right now. Let's force this unfiltered truth into the mainstream. Let me leave you with a final sobering reality. The year 2026 is turning out to be a year of massive global transitions. The systems we trusted for decades, global health bodies, international trade agreements, superpower alliances are showing deep, irreparable cracks. They cannot protect you, they are too busy fighting each other for resources, dominance, and control to care about the common man walking the streets out of our cities. The Indian government is quietly tightening its guard at the major entry gates of Mumbai, Bengaluru, and Delhi. They know the risk is real. They know that in the world of hypersonic travel, a virus does not need months to cross oceans. It is just needs a 14-hour flight. We must remain vigilant. We must keep our eyes wide open, monitor the resource lines, and watch how the technology market reacts in the coming days. Never panic, but never be blind. Preparedness is the only armor that survives a global crisis. Now listen to me very carefully, guys. I'm not going to tell you that stream is ending. I'm not going to say goodbye, and I'm certainly not going to tell you to go to sleep, because in the world of raw geopolitics, the clock never stops ticking. The war rooms never close, and the shadows players never sleep. The moment I shut down this broadcast, my team and I are going to straight back to the encrypted networks, back to our deep level resources, tracking the next phase of this outbreak, the secret movements of the naval fleets, and the impending economic shifts that the media will try to hide from you next week. The vigil never ends, the storm is growing, and we will be here to track every single thunderbolt. Keep your mind sharp, keep your defensive walls up, do not trust the polished narratives of the elite. Look out for your families, stay ahead of the crowd, and never let down your guards. Stand tall, my friends, share the light, protect the truth, and stay completely unfiltered. Follow AK Kashyap Unfiltered for real, unfiltered geopolitics. The next deep dive is already loading. Stay tuned. I'm watching the board, and I will see you very soon.